I'm Amber. For those of you who don't know, I went to school with Aly. We played college soccer together. Um, Aly and I have experienced many, many moments together, but I definitely won't go into all of them right now. Um, we used to talk about who we would marry and, if we knew them already. And I guess at the time we really didn't know. Um, but I remember Aly telling me about Kurt, and for a very long time I didn't know Kurt. I didn't meet him. All I knew was what Aly had told me about him. So one night after our alumni game, we went out to the Valley, and Kurt, such a gentleman Kurt is, came and picked us up. And you guys know how the Valley works and how we kind of are after the Valley. I remember saying to myself, I can tell by how Aly looks at Kurt that he's the one for her. Um, and at that moment, this first time I met him had probably been a year after they'd been dating, so I was really happy for Aly. But I knew when Kurt texted me and asked me, what should I send Aly for her bachelorette party to let her know that I'm always thinking about her, that she's always on my mind. I knew at that moment that she had actually found her Prince Charming. So I know we don't have many memories together, Kurt, but you are taking my me and my best friend. So definitely take care of her, because if not, I've become best friends with Uncle Mike. And if you don't take care of her, he knows where to find you. So if everyone will please raise their glasses and help me toast to the newlyweds, may the lifetime of happiness, love, and adventure show you guys the best ride. Cheers.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Patrick. I'm Kurt's buddy from law school. Um, I want to say I think the first order of business is thank you to the Carino family and the Collins family for putting on this unbelievable weekend. The rehearsal dinner last night was awesome. Tonight has been awesome. This venue is incredible, and Aly and Kurt are so blessed to have so many good people, not only their families, but their friends behind them. They're so blessed, and I'm just happy to be a part of this weekend. Aly and Kurt, I appreciate you letting me be here tonight and give me this microphone. You just wait. Every year since I was born, on Memorial Day weekend, I would be at my family's house. My family throws a party every year. And not to sound cheesy, but this is the first year that I won't be there, and I honestly haven't missed it a minute. I talked to my father just a minute ago. He said, I miss you, I wish you were here, and I really hadn't thought about it much, and I think that just goes to show you, what a great weekend this has been. So I appreciate you letting me be a part of it. Aly, sort of to mirror what Amber said to Kurt, we haven't gotten to know each other probably as good as I, wish we would have to this point. I know we're going to get to know each other more, but I can say without any reservation that this is the best Kurt Collins, this is the best version of Kurt Collins I've ever met. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that as a compliment to Aly. I'm not dogging Kurt, but Aly, honestly, I think that you obviously have a big part in that, and I appreciate everything you do for him, and I mean he really is the best version of Kurt I've ever met. So thank you, Kurt. I've had a lot of opportunities in my life to do cool things, but nobody's ever asked me to be their best man. So this is an opportunity that I cherish, and I thank you for that. You're one of the most enthusiastic and loyal people I've ever met. And Aly, you're a lucky woman. Kurt started his own law practice, brought these two great families together, and he has been such a great friend, I know, to all the people in the crowd, but to me, and I'm just really proud to be your friend, and I look up to you in many ways, so I appreciate it. I met Kurt when I was in law school about 8 years ago, and when we started hanging out, I felt like I had known him forever. And it's not only because he was an awesome dude, it was because he was such a pain in the ass. like Facebook friends Monday, Tuesday, hey man, can I use your toothbrush? It's like, no, you can't use my toothbrush. I mean, there's no boundaries with Kurt. You hit the ground running, you're automatically best friends, and I think it's one of his best characteristics. But I got a story I have to tell about the no boundaries, and sort of echoed what people were saying last night about Kurt being hyper. March 2013, Kurt and I had planned for him to come down. I live in Statesboro, Georgia, which isn't far from Savannah. Kurt and I had planned for him to come down that Thursday before the parade on Saturday, and we had a busy week, and we had it packed because we had a family party Friday night, and my Aunt Julie and Uncle Gary were throwing a party at their house after the Savannah parade, and so Kurt and I had an agreement that we weren't going to drink. No drinking Thursday, absolutely zero drinking, and I didn't think much of it. Kurt was usually good for his word, so we didn't talk much that week, and I got a text from him that Thursday morning, hey man, I'm getting on a flight. Well, he had a connection through Charlotte, and then had to come into Savannah. I was going to pick him up from there. So I was supposed to pick him up at 5, and I'm on my way to the airport. And it's 4:45, and I get a call, and I look down, and it's Kurt. Don't open those envelopes yet. Oh, well, open them. I don't care. I get a call from Kurt, and I say, yo, man, what's going on? And there's absolute silence. So I'm, hey, Kurt. And then all I hear was, and it sounded like the Tasmanian devil. It really did. And I thought he was messing around, so I was like, all right, man, I'll see you in a little bit, and I hung up. Well, 5 minutes later, I get a call back, and it's Kurt again. And this time, I'm not happy. I'm just like, hello? And on the other line, it wasn't Kurt, it was a female. And she said, yes, is this Pat? And I said, yeah. And she said, yeah, this is Jennifer from Enterprise Rental Car. And I was thinking, oh, my God, this is either the best prank or Kurt broke his promise to me and he's drunk. Well, she says, yeah, I'm out front, and your friend is really drunk. And I was like, at this point, I wasn't convinced that he wasn't pranking me. So I was like, okay, yeah, well, I'm on the way. I'll be there in a couple minutes. A couple minutes go by, and I'm 3 minutes away from the airport now, and I get another call back, and I'm thinking, gosh, what is going on? I can't figure it out. So it's another female, but it's a different one this time. And she's like, yeah, is this Pat? And I'm like, yeah. She says, yeah, well, this is Megan from Delta. I'm going, oh, my God. Well, now I'm convinced because I can hear her. She's trying to talk to me, and I hear in the background, ma'am. And he's going, when is my connecting flight to Savannah? And she says, sir, you're in Savannah. Kurt was in Savannah Airport yelling at the Delta agent, trying to figure out when his connecting flight to Savannah was. Well, he had broken his promise. So I pull up, and I finally get there, and there's one bench of people, and then there's another bench, and it's Kurt by himself. He was like Pigpen from Peanuts, and he had his stuff everywhere. He was typing on his computer. I don't know, God knows what he was doing, but he had his stuff everywhere. It looked like a yard sale. So I help him get packed up, and finally we get in the car, and we're on the way back to Statesboro, and I figure out, after a 40-minute interrogation, I figure out that he had gotten bumped up to first class, and they were serving him Cabernet, and it was free. So he had about 8 to 10 glasses, including his connection, and so he was hammered. And, well, we were on our way straight to a family party, and I promised Nana I wasn't going to curse, and I know there's children. Oh, she's gone? Okay, well, are you sure? That's not a trick, is it? All right, well, I bring him to our family party, and my Uncle Gary and Aunt Julie, they're sort of reserved. My uncle's a physician, and my Aunt Julie, she doesn't drink, she doesn't cuss, and she doesn't do much of anything fun. But we get there, and Kurt's there for 30 seconds, and he's already spilled an entire glass of sangria on somebody's white pants. In an attempt to stop the glass from spilling, he kicks over the trash can, and it's a disaster. Well, we're all preoccupied trying to clean up his mess and say sorry. And he ends up standing in front, just Aunt Julie's here and another family member, and he's just standing there. And Aunt Julie, God bless her, says, Kurt, what are you in town for? And, excuse my language, he says to her, I'm here to fuck shit up. Well, Aunt Julie doesn't cuss or drink or anything. Well, so that didn't go over well.
That's not true. It's not true.
Well, I get I get Kurt to bed that night. I keep him in the house on Friday so he couldn't hurt anybody. But Saturday we had a limo ride out to Savannah, and we're going with my family, and we go out there, and Kurt starts drinking, and you know how he gets when he's drunk. He starts bopping around and talking to everybody. Well, we end up going to Tybee, and we're in Tybee, and it's the end of the night, and we're sort of just kind of relaxing. He had been drinking for a couple days, and so Kurt decided that he was going to leave the house and go down and get in the ocean. And he didn't have a bathing suit. He had his jeans and his T-shirt on and whatever. So we let him go. We wanted a moment of reprieve. We just wanted to be in silence for a minute. So Kurt disappears, and an hour later, someone's like, "Where's Kurt?" And I think someone said, "Who cares?" But, well, it wasn't Aunt Jilly, no. But an hour later, Uncle Gary says his goodnight and goes to bed. And Uncle Gary, you know, he's serious. He's older, and he goes upstairs, and Uncle Gary's back in 2 minutes, and he says, "Patrick, I think I found Kurt." And I said, "Oh crap! Really?" And he said, "Yeah, you want to come get him with me?" I said, "Sure." So we start walking upstairs, and as we get to the top of the stairs, there's a long hallway to go back to Uncle Gary's bedroom. Well, we're on our way back there, and as we're walking, I just see sand and water, and I'm sort of walking behind Uncle Gary, and we make the turn, and I look in, and all I see is a head in Uncle Gary's bed in his master bedroom. So I walk over to the bed, and Kurt's shoes, his jeans, his shirt, everything's off, and I take the covers off, and he's in his boxers, soaking wet and full of sand. And I was like, "Oh my goodness gracious." It looked like he had shake and baked himself. You know when you're a kid, when you go in the ocean and then you roll around in the sand? Well, he had shake and baked himself and got himself in Uncle Gary's bed, and I didn't know what to say. So I finally got Kurt out of there and actually put him on a plane. And I call that story Hurricane Kurt because he left a path of destruction a mile wide. But for the life of me, and there's a point to this story, for the life of me, I can't wrap my head around it. It's because Uncle Gary, Aunt Julie, and the rest of my family loved Kurt after that weekend. And I thought, the same Kurt that I just picked up and dropped off in Savannah? And they loved him, and they still love him. And for some reason, Kurt's got some charm about him that he's charming. And, you know, after that whole weekend and after everything he did, if my family still loved him, I'm sold. So, and they were too. So, Aly, you're going to have some crazy times, but you definitely got yourself a good man. My wife and I got married a year ago, actually, on the 30th. So Kurt and Aly were there, and we had gotten a couple of pointers on marriage. And I'm not far ahead of you guys, but I wanted to give you a couple of pointers that we were given, and then one my wife and I actually learned on our own. The first one is my Aunt Florence stood up at her grandson's wedding last year, and she said to her grandson, she's not a person of many words, but she said to her grandson, "Don't ever go to bed angry." It sounded funny, and for those who didn't really know the story with Aunt Florence, it sort of went over their head, but Aunt passed away 40 years ago. He was a postman, and she never connected the dots, but I think those of us who knew the story did. She woke up one morning, and she was told that her husband had passed away, and I think the story is that she never got the opportunity to say, "I'm sorry," or to make up with him. So, you know, be quick to forgive each other, and never go to bed angry. That was the first piece of advice, and my wife and I have tried to live by that, and it's worked so far. And the second piece of advice is from Uncle Gary, and he said, just to be sure that you guys are giving each other everything, be in a competition with each other. Try to make the other person feel like they're the luckier of the two, and if you guys compete in that way, you can't lose. And so we've tried to do that too. And then the third piece of advice I give you, and it's not for everyone, but I would say have children. My wife and I were blessed to have a child on March 12th of this year. It was our first child, and a beautiful baby boy. And as you guys sit here, you know what love is. I mean, you love your family, you love your friends, you love each other, but there's no love like the love you have for your child, and it's given us so much depth in our relationship. It's given me, I can't believe I could say this, but it's given me more respect for my wife than I've ever had, and it's just a beautiful thing. So I would recommend having children too. And I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I want to, if we can all raise our glasses to Kurt and Aly, I wish you guys the best I'm so happy to be just a small part of your day. Kurt, you mean the world to me, and Aly, obviously, you mean the world to me too. And I wish you a lifetime of happiness, joy, health, and prosperity. I love you guys.
On behalf of Susan and I, Mike and Sherry, and of course, Aly and Kurt, I want to thank everybody for coming here tonight and sharing this special evening with us. We have friends and family from near and far, and every one of you are special. There's one person that I want to kind of say a shout out to, and because it's a special occasion. Howie Gillis, can you raise your hand or stand up or whatever? Howie's my best friend. We've known each other for over 30 years, but that's not the reason why Howie is special tonight. The reason why he is special is because he's the first person to ever set eyes on Aly, because he's the obstetrician that delivered her almost 26 years ago. So Howie, thank you. My job tonight is twofold. One was to walk my daughter down the aisle, and the other was to make sure all of you have a good time. So how are we doing so far? Thank you. Well, there was a time where Susan and I, thought that we'd never see this day. Now, let me explain a little bit first. You see, for those of you who don't know Aly, she is a certified tomboy. She never wanted to be her brother's little sister. She wanted to be his little brother. And she adored him. So she refused to wear her hair long. You know, we would have to cut it short in a little bowl. She would run around and sleep in his hand-me-down boxer shorts instead of pajamas. And I don't think we got a dress on her until she was in her 8th grade. The other thing about Aly is that she's an athlete. She loves sports. This girl could literally swim before she could walk. We gave her swimming lessons at 6 months old. By 8 months, she was swimming 6 feet below the water, retrieving rings, coming back up, flipping on her back to catch her breath, and going back down to do it again. By 10, she was snow skiing down the expert slopes with me and her brother. She's got several belts in karate. In middle school, she went to the state championships for golf. She played high school soccer and received many awards and got a scholarship to play soccer in college. And then there was baseball. Now let me tell you about her baseball career. It started when she was about 8 and JT was in Little League. Aly decided she wanted to play ball too. So we said, okay, Aly, we'll just take you down, sign you up for the girls' softball league. Aly throws a tantrum and says, no, I'm not playing softball with the girls. I'm playing baseball with the boys. So off we go to baseball tryouts, a couple of hundred boys and 2 girls, including Aly. Of course, you couldn't tell Aly from the boys, except that she was smaller. The other girl had a ponytail. Well, being the athlete that she was, I mean, this girl could throw better than the boys. She could hit every time she got to the plate. And I forgot to tell you, not only did she want to play ball, she wanted to be the catcher. And she was fearless behind the plate. So we go off, and she tries out and, of course, shows up most of the boys. About a week later, I get a call from this gentleman. He says, I'm Coach so-and-so, and I drafted Aly to my team. You know, I'm really impressed with him. He is a darn good ball player. So there's a little silence, and I said, well, Aly is actually Aly. Aly's short for Alyssa, and he's a she. There's silence at the other end, and this guy, being the cool guy he was, says, she's a damn good ball player, and I'm glad to have her. Comes to the first game. Aly's got all of her catcher stuff on. She's got her hat on backwards. She's got the catcher thing on her head. She's got this chest protector. It's 2 sizes too big with her, the shin guards. And at the beginning of the game, the umpire calls them out, and the coaches and the catchers, and goes over a few things with the coaches. And then he looks at the catchers to make sure they have their equipment on. He says, you boys got your cups on? And Aly looks at him like, what the hell are you talking about? The coach is standing there and says, well, Aly doesn't need a cup. She's a girl. And this crusty old guy says, This is boys baseball. The rules say the catchers have to have cups. No cup, she doesn't play. Well, off Dad runs off to the local Kmart, buys the smallest one I can find, runs back, gives it to Aly and said, "Hey, Aly, stick this down your pants." And she looks at me like, "Are you crazy?" I said, "Aly, I'll explain it to you later, just do it." So next game, she goes out there, the coaches pick her up, or the coaches and the catchers go out there, and, and the, I'm sorry. Umpire says, "You catchers got your cups on?" And Aly looks at him, caps her cup, and says, "Yes, sir." A couple of games later, Aly's team is at, they're in the dugout there at bat, and the other team comes out. And on the other team is this other little girl who tried out for baseball with Aly. She's got her ponytail sticking out of her cap. Little boy in the dugout starts laughing and says, "Ha, ha, ha, they're going to lose. They got a girl." Little boy sitting next to him says, "Well, we got a girl too." And he looks at him like, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Well, Aly's a girl." And he looks at her and says, "Aly, are you a girl?" And Aly says, "Uh-huh." This kid, wise beyond his years, a couple of thoughts, thinks about it and says, "Well, our girl's better than their girl." The other thing about Aly is that despite being the petite little thing that she is, she's as tough as they come. She's the second toughest woman I've ever met. Her mother's the toughest. Aly's played college soccer. She's torn her ACL 3 times, had 3 knee reconstructions. Now, I don't know if you ever seen anybody who's torn their ACL, but when they do it, they scream, fall to the ground, writhing in pain, and get carried off the field. First time Aly tore her ACL, she was a freshman in high school playing indoor co-ed soccer. She's up against the wall against a 6'2", 200-plus pound guy trying to get the ball, and he wasn't about to let this 4'11", 90-pound girl to get the ball away from him. And of course, Aly, being who she was, wasn't going to give up either. Well, physics being what it is, he tore the ball out. The ball went this way. Aly's knee went the other way. She limps off with a little tear in her eye, walks past me, says something about this guy that I can't repeat. Played on that knee for another week before she finally said, "I can't do it anymore." And we got an MRI, and she had spaghetti for an ACL. Third time she tore her ACL, she was a sophomore in college. She was warming up for another game, taking a shot. Her knee went one way, she went the other. Walked off the field, past her coach, and said, "I can't play today. I just tore my ACL again." So, Kurt, you got this new bride. She's beautiful. She's smart. She's tough as nails. And she knows more about sports than most of us guys in this room. So she sounds pretty damn perfect, doesn't she? Yeah, well, she isn't. Let me tell you a couple other things about Aly. I'm Italian. Her mother's Irish. To say that she has a temper is an understatement. Her tantrums are legendary in our family. Just ask JT. He's had to run for his life a few times. So my advice to you is just like when the tornado is approaching, find the safest room in the house, lock the door, and don't come out until it's over. The other thing I want to tell you, and I'm not ashamed to say this, is that I've spoiled her rotten. Good luck. There's nothing worse than a spoiled woman with a temper. Now let me tell you all about Kurt. We met Kurt July 2013. He and Aly had been dating for a couple of weeks. He accompanied us to a vacation down in Destin, Florida. Now, we'd only known him for a couple of days, but he fit right in like he was part of the family. But those of you who know Kurt know that shouldn't find that as any surprise because Kurt's never met a stranger. Well, while we were down there, Kurt and Aly go to a restaurant that in Destin is known for everybody signing a dollar bill, sticking it up on the wall. So Kurt takes out a dollar bill, puts Kurt and Aly, July 2013. But on the other side of the dollar bill, without Aly knowing it, he puts, "I'm going to marry this girl." Staples it up on the wall. Fast forward 2 years, July 2015, a week before he's going to propose to Aly, Kurt goes back down to Destin, goes to the restaurant, somehow finds this dollar bill. Being the lawyer that he is, talks the manager out of giving it back to him. Proposes to Aly on the 4th of July. She, of course, said yes. And then he takes a dollar bill out and gives it to Aly and shows her what he wrote on there 2 years earlier. Guys, it's the kind of guy you want your daughter to marry. So it comes time now for me to propose a toast. And I'm supposed to say something profound or something cliche or sappy or whatever. But instead, what I'm going to do is quote a movie. And the movie's Rocky. You've all seen Rocky. And if you haven't, let me just set the scene for you. Rocky's this over-the-hill, middle-aged boxer. He falls in love with Adrian, who's a middle-aged, dowdy female, never been kissed, works in a pet shop, takes care of her low-life brother, Paulie. Well, Paulie thinks they're both losers. He can't understand why anybody would want to marry his sister. So he says to Rocky, now this is in Philadelphia, but Rocky really has a Jersey accent. I know because I'm from Jersey. So he says to Rocky, why do you want to marry my sister? And Rocky says, well, I guess it's because of gaps. I got gaps. She's got gaps. Together we got no gaps. So here's to Aly and Kurt, who are stronger today together than they were yesterday because you guys got no gaps. Here, here.